Might have seen this on the news last week. Michigan's congressional delegation took a tour of Michigan's military installations, and this had never been done before, as far as I know. All of the congressional delegates coming home to Michigan and touring the military installations. On the line with us right now is Congresswoman Candice Miller. Candice, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Paul.
You got to see Selfridge. You got to show some other folks maybe some things they hadn't seen before there.
Well, we really did, and as you say, it's never been done before. And so we had Senator Stabenow, and we had the House, and that was very, very good participation for the and the week before I was ready to come back to work here in Washington. And it was interesting. Obviously, I was very proud to show off. And then we had never been at Selfridge before, and one member only had been there once, and it was back when Reagan was the president. So, really a great. I just use that as an example because then we went on from there to other military installations. But being as parochial as I am about Selfridge, I was delighted to talk to them about the A-10s. They gave us sort of a windshield tour. General Slocum, the base commander there, went through sort of a PowerPoint of the various kinds of aircraft that we have there with the KC-135s, the refuelers, and what that mission is. And, of course, as we are speaking, the Michigan Red Devils, the 107th, is deployed. The A-10 unit has 12 aircraft over in the Middle East fighting ISIS. And so, we said, look, it's a little bit quiet around the base here right now because, our men and women are off. They're fighting. They're doing exactly what the taxpayers pay them to do and what they are so proud to do and how brave they are and all of that. But then we get a chance, as you mentioned, we went over to TACOM in Warren and Tardec and saw all the great things that are happening there and the different components that they are doing, the research and development for new kinds of weaponry and et cetera. And then, we ended our day up at Camp Grayling, which has become, now I haven't been there since I was the Michigan Secretary of State, so for quite a long time, but I was amazed to look at all of the new billets that they have been building there and how now National Guard troops, not just here in Michigan, but across the country, and some of our allies across the world come there and train. For instance, they were saying, look, you got the National Guard. Let's say you're down in Georgia or Alabama. Well, you don't have the ability to train in your state for winter kinds of conditions. And, of course, you might get deployed somewhere where there is winter. And so just the ability to do some of these different kinds of things. We saw how they are in the simulator area they're using, and we were all able to shoot. I was shooting an M40, for instance, and different things. And it's of course, it's like a giant video game, but it really is simulating exactly if you were shooting live ammunition. And of course, ammunition is incredibly expensive, particularly when you have that many, hundreds of thousands of troops that are going through like that during the course of a year. So it just was really an interesting day, and I think a good thing for us to do.
Well, and the timing of this is interesting, Candice, because we're just weeks away from decisions on military spending, and it will directly affect some of these installations in Michigan, won't it?
Yes, it will in a very big way. Now, what they call the NDAA, that's the National Defense Reauthorization bill, and I've reported on your show to you, Paul, many times, but we have been successful in keeping the A-10s in there. I got to go back to my own personal fight here, I guess, but I shouldn't say personal because obviously the whole delegation has been very, very, very helpful with that. But now they really see when we're talking about how the administration has sort of these short-sighted attempts, we believe, to divest this fleet because, they are such reliable close air support aircraft. And again, particularly when they're deployed right now, you see why they are incredibly important as a component to our national posture, really. And just talking about some of the various things again that are coming up, money that's in the budget for, as I say, research and development over at TACOM Tardec. One thing that I think many people were interested to see there is these driverless vehicles. Now, you hear about that in a commercial setting, And actually, during the August break here, I was joined with some other congressional delegation. We went over to the University of Michigan, what they call M City, which they've got this whole test track there where they're testing, all kinds of various traffic safety initiatives, including driverless vehicles. But so we're there at TACOM, and they've got these driverless vehicles that they've got going on here, and which is a great thing in a military application because look, you can use them to deliver armaments or goods or whatever you need to deliver to our troops. And guess what? There's not a troop inside the vehicle, so if they run into an IED, no one gets hurt. But yet they need to do, they've got a long way to go as far as making sure that they perfect this thing. So some of these kinds of things all come together in our own minds as we had our own conversations amongst one another about how we need to work together in a bipartisan way, make sure that Michigan continues to be the lead on as we really beef up our defense contracting here, but continues to be the lead in everything on wheels, whether that's a commercial application or a military application, because, our impetus, of course, is for our war fighters to make them as safe and as effective as we possibly can. And at the same time, if we can create a lot of jobs and keep our economy going here, that's all to the good. So anyway, all of us together talking about these issues, which are clearly not partisan issues. We're talking about national security and national defense here. It was really a very good thing, I think.
As we get closer to that October 1st, deadline, the beginning of the new fiscal year, do you anticipate, as spending for these military installations and other questions come up, any kind of a government shutdown being threatened?
Government shutdown is actually being threatened right now, and I'm not quite sure how this is all going to play out, to tell you the truth. I am not a person that is in favor of shutting the government down. I don't think that we ought to be doing that. On the other hand, I think I'm extremely fiscally conservative, and I'm pretty socially conservative, and really the threat here is because of money going to Planned Parenthood. Who says they don't do abortions, but clearly they do. And all of these videos that have come out that show the selling of fetal body parts, et cetera, in a very graphic way, have really, I think, made people who are pro-life feel very, very passionate that we don't want to have funding in any budget for Planned Parenthood. On the other hand, you've got the president who says he will veto any funding bill that cuts all of that back. So I would like to come to an agreement where we could set all the Planned Parenthood funding aside and then take that out of the equation here. There is a bill that I've co-sponsored to do that, and hopefully we will get a vote on that and see how we do here with that. That's a battle that I think we have to fight. And yet, we don't want to be shutting the entire government down. I don't think either, particularly when I'm just talking here about national defense and the kinds of things that we need to be about here. We are in yesterday I was at the 9/11 Museum downtown New York, where our Committee on Homeland Security was having a hearing about the challenges in a 9/11 world here 14 years later. We're on the anniversary here, and these kinds of things we need to we have to secure our nation and protect the homeland. So anyway, but nothing's easy, and it's a complicated question.
A lot of and a lot of unrelated issues that all get lumped together when you're talking about funding the government. So
that really is true. And we've not done the best. In fact, we've done a lousy job. Let's put it out there as a Congress of funding things. We should be going through the appropriation process where you deliberate over each of 12 separate appropriation bills. I think in the House we've passed 7 or 8 of them. The Senate has not passed one. And now we're at the end of the fiscal year. So we have to do what is known as a CR, continuing resolution, to keep the government running into the next fiscal year. But it's not a good way to run a railroad, Paul, I'll tell you that. So.
One more year, Candice. One more year. Hang in there.
Well, I'm fully engaged in this wonderful opportunity that the people of the 10th Congressional District have given me. And yes, I'm not going to be seeking re-election next year, but I'll tell you one thing. One thing my dad always taught me, never back up to the pay window. So he told us that when we were sitting at the breakfast table when I was 5 years old, He had his own business, and I've always absolutely believed that. And so I'm here. I'm doing, these issues are so incredibly important. And again, I took an oath of office, and the people of this district have been so gracious in their support of me, and all relationships have reciprocity. So I'm trying to represent the people of our district to the very best of my ability. And listen, while I'm on the air here, if any of you have comments that are listening in to the Paul Miller Show today, we are always open and encourage comments, emails, what have you, on any of these issues or others. It's the only way our democracy can work is when everyone engages.
That's for sure, and it's never been easier than it is now to do so, for sure.
Yes, that's right.
Candice, we always appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk again soon.
I really appreciate it. Thanks,
All right,
Paul.
take
Have a
care.
good day.
You too. Bye now.